Okay, so today we are sitting down with Carley Moore from Parkway Church on the Mountain out in Roanoke, Virginia. And you've been in ministry for how many years now?
12 years.
12 years, okay.
That's 12 years of paid. But I've been in ministry for like...
Hey, man, I get you.
Since I could be in ministry, I've been in ministry.
Yeah, I understand. So we are here, then we're just honored that you came all the way here so we could sit down and have this conversation. It started a little bit last night. And so, we're just going to kind of continue that, hear what God is doing and, learn about your ministry a little bit. So you use something that are called automated workflows. For those who may be unfamiliar with what that is, can you kind of maybe explain it in your own words? What are automated workflows?
Man, first off, they're a game changer. I jokingly tell people that the text in church and these workflows, man, they're my virtual assistant.
Yeah.
I used them much more at the last church that I was at. I was a senior pastor there, and literally it was my assistant. I was the only person on staff. And I kept dropping the ball. Like, I'd forget to reach out to somebody, or I'd forget, this person asked me to pray. And that sucks when somebody asks you to pray and you forget to pray. And then you find out later on, like, oh no, I told them I'd pray. And so you can set up all of these workflows where when somebody wants prayer, you can plug them into that group and set off these automated workflows that, no, it doesn't take the personal touch out of it. It enhances that personal touch.
Yeah.
And so then what that allowed me to do is there were a few automated things, so I made sure that they were touched on. And then there were a lot of things, just reminders that were sent to me like, hey, don't forget this person asked you to be praying for them.
Yeah.
Just little things that nobody would ever know, but they came to my inbox as a reminder, hey, you need to reach out to this person. They joined the prayer group on this date, and it has all their details there.
Yeah.
The reminder and the workflow sends you their name and what their prayer request and date was.
Yeah.
So it's really neat. It's a game changer. It really helps you not drop the ball and truly care for your people.
Yeah, that's awesome. So why did you decide to implement, you know what I mean, like these before the system existed, before you started using them? What did you do? What did that look like? And tell me about the aha moment of, man, I need to get this under control.
It's more like, what did it not look like? So I decided I was going to set up this Google Sheet. And so I had access to it. And then I had some volunteers. I had a volunteer secretary and treasurer who didn't use a whole lot of technology, but she knew a little bit of it. And so I had her set up on it to try to help me. And then she got logged out. And so basically it was like, put it on this Google Sheet and hope you remember. And so there'd be times where I'd get on there and 10 days had passed and somebody had a surgery. And I'm like, oh no, I never reached out. I didn't go to the hospital and pray. And so I'm the worst about forgetting. Like, if I don't write it down, I forget it. And one thing that happened is, and again, if I don't write it down, I forget it. I'm actually on the way on Interstate 40 in North Carolina, on the way to Asheboro, to a conference, a minister's conference, a retreat there. And I'm watching, y'all forgive me, but I'm watching the Engage conference. It's up there on my dash. I know it's not safe. I wasn't watching it. I'm glancing. And I'll never forget, they said text in church. And I was like, okay, what is this?
Yeah.
And they gave out the 60 days free, try it. So I'm swerving trying to get a quick screenshot.
Yeah.
Because I know if I don't get this screenshot, I'm going to forget. And so when I get to the hotel, as soon as I get checked in, I'm actually late to dinner because I'm setting text in church up. And so then I'm at this session and I'm like, I can't wait to get back to the hotel room so that I can finish setting up text in church.
Yeah.
And without any implementation or anything like that, I encourage everybody to do the implementation. It's much easier if you do that than try to figure it out all on your own. I set it all up, and 2 weeks later, we launched it with our first time guests and with our coffee with the pastor. And it was, again, a game changer. Yeah. It changed it. I felt so much better. I felt like I was actually doing my job as a pastor at that point.
Wow. So you mentioned specifically doing it with guest follow-up. Can you kind of bring me to the moment that you realized that was making a difference in your ministry?
One of the first ones was this person texted me back and was basically like, wow, I cannot believe the pastor texted me. And so that wasn't, I don't know what the mentality at that church was prior to that, but this person was so pumped that the pastor had actually reached out to them.
Yeah.
And so that was the first one. And then we implemented a thing called Coffee with the Pastor, and built in with our workflows was a personal invite from me for them to have pastor with me 30 minutes prior to service beginning. And the fact that they were like, man, you're getting ready to go preach and you want to spend 30 minutes with me?
Yeah.
that was so special to those individuals when they received that.
Yeah. So that's incredible. How did you measure that your new, your guest follow-up system, how did you measure that it was successful? Right? Because that's one story.
Yeah.
But that it was a system that worked.
Yeah. So it was just the amount of responses and people, one of the first times, and this, I encourage you, if you send a message out, attach a reminder to yourself that you send that message out. Because one of the most embarrassing moments, but also most rewarding, was one of the first times somebody was like, "Thank you so much for that text." And in my mind, I'm like, "I didn't text you. What are you talking about?" And so it was in that moment that I was like, wow, I have automated this and taken the personal side out of it. That's not what text in church is. Text in church is about enhancing that personal thing. And so that personal aspect of it, that personal touch. And so then from that moment forward, if I had built into a workflow or built into a group a message that would go out, I also have a reminder, hey, you sent this message. And then you're out at the grocery store and somebody comes up and says, hey, thank you so much for that encouragement. That was how I measured the success. Those moments were so impactful to me. Again, I felt like, man, I'm actually doing a good job.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I think, and you've touched on this a bit, but what would you say is the most important thing that you would want people to know who, to understand that a guest follow-up system that is automated, who would push back on that? What would you want them to understand? What's the most important thing?
Most people, when they hear automated, they think robotic. They think it's going to remove something. In fact, I had somebody recently tell me, oh, so you're taking his job away from him. And I'm like, no, I'm enhancing his job. I'm giving him more time back because we are just barely scratching the surface of implementing this at Parkway Church. And so my thing I would say to you is make it work for you. You know your culture and make it personal. Don't make it something that you're not. And we were talking about this in one of our mastermind sessions. Like I'm referred to as the bald guy with the white glasses.
Yeah.
Put that in the messages. Make it personal. And you don't have to automate everything. Some of the automations can simply be a reminder for you to then text or you to call. So this week, say somebody texted VIP or guest. The first week you send them an email. Well, the next week you send a reminder to yourself, hey, don't forget to text this person. And then the third week in the follow-up, you send a reminder to yourself. First week was email, second week was text. Well, maybe call this time. And you can then send stuff to other people in your church and get other people involved. You got a lady that likes writing cards? Let it send her a message. Hey, this person was new today, or hey, this person made a commitment. Send them a card. Yeah. And so now you're expanding that, and these people are being loved on and touched by so many more people, and now they're a part of a community.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's pretend that you were sitting down with someone who just started using text in church. What would be your biggest pieces of advice for that person?
Go to one of the lunch and learns. Go and do the implementation days. The biggest thing I would say, again, is start simple. And make it you. Don't make it something you're not. Don't feel like you got to make it this super professional kind of setup. Be you, be real. That's what people are going to respond to. And if you're watching Engage or you're going through the implementation and you're seeing that, like, man, I can't do 12 steps. Make it 3, make it 2. Just make the people feel connected. That's the big thing. Text in Church says known, noticed, and loved. And that's what we want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you kind of mentioned this a bit, hit on it a little bit. Outside of guest follow-up and, specifically prayer, you mentioned that one. What are some other ways that, you used text in church in the past and you're looking to implement it now at Parkway Church on the Mountain?
So I actually just did this. We did 40 days to the cross. I never imagined this being what it turned out to be. So for 40 days leading up to Easter, we sent out either a text message or an email, and we used the keyword cross. You could text the keyword cross, or you can go to our online website, or we had it in our bios on our social media, and you can join that group. And when you join that group, what it did is and these were automated, but people responded to it. People said, man, can we do this year round? I was like, you guys don't understand the amount of work that is, but I'll see what I can do maybe once a quarter. And so that blew people away. And that was when some of our other staff began realizing, man, text in church is great. And so we're getting ready to implement our first church-wide keyword other than the 40 days to the cross. We're getting ready to start using it for decisions, where they can text the word decision to our church number, and then they're put in this workflow that reminds our connect pastor, our care pastor, our support staff, and things just are set into motion over the next several days.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if there was one quick strategy to those who are listening, today that they could try, right? What would you say that it would be? Like the quickest way, man, this is a quick win, easy, set it up today with Text in Church.
I think it would be the first time guess. If you sign up for Text in Church today, you get access to the playbook. You get access to so many good things in the workbooks, for Engage conferences. There's those easy buttons, which just literally do that. They make it easy. But start with your guest workflow, even if it's just simply they text the word guest, and then on Monday morning, you get a reminder, hey, this person was new today. Even if that's all your workflow is, right there is a win, just getting somebody to text that. And then I feel like you'll be able to build upon that. That would be my first step.
That's awesome. So if there was a church leader who's watching right now, right, and they're on the fence, considering Text in Church, I don't know, what would you say to them? What would be the thing that's most important that they need to hear?
Man, if they're asking, like, why Text in Church, I would just simply tell them, why not? I think I've heard people say all the time, one thing you can't get back is your time. And this Text in Church helps you reclaim your time. It doesn't take the personal touch out of it. And that's why a lot of people kind of shy away from it. They're like, man, I don't want to do that because it's not me doing it. And I totally get that. And that was kind of me when I first heard about Text in Church. And I was like, man, especially at a small church, I feel like I should be connecting with everybody. And so now I've had the opportunity to see it on a small scale and to see it on a large scale.
Yeah.
And it does not take away that personal touch. In fact, as I said earlier, it enhances it.
Yeah.
It helps you do more because you have this system that is working for you.
Yeah.
It's not taking your place. It's working for you, and you get to come alongside it and reclaim that time. And now when there are those important things that need your other time, not that people aren't important, but if you spend your time buried in your phone, you can't focus on your family. You can't focus on the other things that are important in your ministry. So you get that time back. So that would be my advice.
Yeah. Carley, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.